What's poppin' YouTube? It's Sydney Island here. That's Island with the Y, not an S. And as you can tell by the title, in this video, I am talking about the depression of a Taurus, okay, which is my sign. I'm a Taurus, born April 30th, 1996. Okay, so let's jump right into the depression of a Taurus. Since I'm a Taurus, of course, I'm going to understand the depression of a Taurus better than, someone who's not a Taurus. If you have a Taurus moon or a Taurus rising, you may understand the depression of a Taurus more. But especially a Taurus moon or Taurus sun, which I'm a Taurus sun. So all signs experience depression in different ways, and there's a lot of different things in your birth chart that is going to make you experience depression more or less. There's a lot of placements in your birth chart that makes you more prone to depression than others. So like I've noticed if you have a lot of Pisces in your birth chart, you are more prone to experiencing depression than the average person. Also, if you have more Scorpio in your birth chart, the water signs are typically more prone to experiencing depression than all the other signs. But we're talking about Taurus here, an earth sign, a fixed earth sign. So I wouldn't say that Tauruses are typically the most depressed out of all signs, but Tauruses, like any sign, can fall into a depression. And typically Tauruses fall into a depression from feeling misunderstood, feeling overlooked, feeling like their efforts just doesn't matter because people treat them like that. I have been treated like that. I've seen Tauruses, they have this kind of middle child syndrome kind of vibe, middle child syndrome mentality. I'm the middle child, and I'm a Taurus. But I've noticed that a lot of Tauruses, they have this middle child syndrome mentality where a lot of people who are middle childs feel that their efforts go unnoticed. Like when their older sibling achieves something, that's more noticed. But if they achieve something, no one cares. It's like, oh, you did something nice, so good for you. But your big brother, your big sister did something nice. Oh, let's throw them a whole party. They achieved something. When it comes to a Taurus, we feel like we could do so much for people, but nobody cares. Nobody notices. And that's what makes us depressed, is when our efforts go unnoticed. We have this deep need to be appreciated. We need praise. We need people to tell us that we sexy, that we smart, that we kind. We want people to know, we want people to notice what we do for them, because we do a lot. And I literally had to wire my brain to see the good that I did for people and to tell myself that I deserved better, that I deserved good in life. Because Tauruses typically are very, very self-deprecating. It is all too easy for us to hate on ourselves and to feel ugly and to feel worthless, because the house of Taurus, which is the second house, rules your self-worth. So Tauruses, especially in their younger years, struggle with feelings of worthlessness, feeling like it doesn't matter what they do, they still will never be enough. A lot of times their parents may have said negative things about them. And so for me growing up, my mother would always tell me, you're careless. You're just so careless. You just handle things in a lackadaisical kind of way. Like, you just don't care about nothing. You selfish. You only care about yourself. And a lot of times I'm realizing now suddenly, I'm realizing that I was almost conditioned to believe that if I take care of myself, I'm selfish. Tauruses is almost like we can't just take care of ourselves without people thinking negatively about us. So we find that I'll just put everybody else before me. Because if I put myself first, they're going to think bad things about me. Because Tauruses, deep down inside, we're softies, and we really do care about what you think about us. We care what our loved ones think about us. And then we get to a point where we feel like, well, I care so much, and it's ruining me. So I have to detach. I have to stop caring so much. But Tauruses are it's easy for us to get attached. So it's hard for us to let go of caring about what somebody thinks about us. It's hard for us to detach from our feelings. It's hard for us to detach from our emotions. We're very, very emotional people. Our emotions run deep. Our opposite sign is Scorpio. Scorpio deep, right? Scorpio is very, very deep. And Tauruses, because Taurus is the opposite sign of Scorpio, and Scorpio is all about the underworld and secrets and things that are hidden, you would assume that Taurus is going to be about the surface and things that are like right out there, right? Meaning that Tauruses are shallow. Wrong. Our feelings run deep. I've noticed a lot of Tauruses are prone to self-harm. I've come across quite a bit of Tauruses who cut themselves. Especially Taurus females. But I've also seen Taurus males. With them, I've known Taurus males who had like eating disorders. Taurus females and males who had eating disorders, who were cutters, you know, self-mutilating. I myself as a Taurus, I've been trying not to expose myself or talk about myself too much when it comes to these sort of things. But part of the reason why I got this tattoo was because I found it hard to cut myself. Like, I would think about it a lot. I got my tarot cards read recently, and by this psychic, and she said that she felt that I thought about self-harm a lot. I thought about self-harm, but it was like I wasn't bringing that energy to the forefront. It's not like you think, oh, I think about self-harm, I think about self-harm. Like, you just casually, it pops into your mind as the day goes on, or when you land in your bed at night, right? So yeah, I mean, I've cut myself with a plastic knife. I've never actually took a metal knife and slit my wrist or anything like that because I was always too scared. I was just scared. I'm scared of blood. You know what I'm saying? So I decided, well, since I can't, you know, self-harm my own self, well, why don't I just pay a tattoo artist to drill a needle into my skin and make me bleed for the sake of art? Why don't I drill art into my skin? That way it's worth it. That way the cutting, the blood, the pain is worth it because it's going to be turned into art. Because Taurus is a very physical sign, we do have a tendency to take out our depression on our physical body. Very physical sign. That's the difference between Taurus and Scorpio as opposites, which I'm going to make a Taurus and Scorpio opposite video. Scorpio is very spiritual. Taurus is very like physical, especially when it comes to like sex. Scorpios view sex as very like metaphysical, whereas Taurus view sex in a more physical way. All right, it's more about physical pleasure. So the connection to a Taurus and our bodies is very important. When something is off on our bodies, we can feel it instantly. So a lot of Tauruses can be hypochondriacs, a lot like Virgo. The health of a Taurus is very important. Although Tauruses do make poor choices with their health a lot, like eating bad or overeating. A lot of Tauruses have a tendency to overindulge when they go through depression. I myself, I overeat when I'm depressed or when I'm stressed or when I'm nervous. Or some Tauruses starve themselves. I had a period where I would starve myself when I was in high school. Tauruses are prone to eating disorders. Tauruses are prone to self-mutilation. Tauruses are prone to literally not being able to look at themselves in the mirror. It's a physical thing a lot of the times. Tauruses manifest their depression through the physical. So a lot of Tauruses will become sex addicts sometimes through their depression. Also become alcoholics. Tauruses are prone to being addicted to things. Taurus is a very indulgent sign. So through depression, they become addicted to unhealthy things. Tauruses, a lot of times, they neglect themselves. I knew one Taurus girl, really beautiful, but she was going through some depression and she kind of like neglected her body. She wore clothes that didn't really like fit her body. You know, I did the same thing. I would wear clothes that was baggy. Like, I didn't dress myself nice. You know, Tauruses, when they go through depression, it manifests through physical. So it manifests through the clothes they wear. That a lot of times, I've noticed a lot of Tauruses go through emo phases where they wear all black. You know, I went through that phase myself where I wore all black. A lot of the depression of a Taurus, you can see it. Whereas other signs is a little bit harder to tell that they're depressed. Like, for example, a Virgo is a little bit harder to tell that a Virgo is depressed because they always have like these really good poker faces. But Taurus is like, our depression is manifested through the clothes we wear, through our weight. We have our weight fluctuates from being overweight to being underweight. Tauruses, we do hide our feelings though. I've noticed that a lot of Tauruses cope with their depression through poetry. writing, music. A lot of Tauruses are very, very musical. We're ruled by the throat, so we love to sing, we love to speak. Therapy is really, really good for a Taurus because we are good with speech. We like to speak. We have to speak things out. So communication is very important for a Taurus, just like a Gemini, right? So therapy is very important for a Taurus. Some signs may not benefit from therapy as much. Taurus will definitely benefit from therapy because a lot of Tauruses I've noticed are very much into psychology, and they also will make very good psychologists. The mind is very important to a Taurus. Tauruses are very smart. The thing is, when a Taurus goes through depression, our mind is not useless though. We still create art through that depression. We're still very productive because another way for Taurus to cope with our depression is to work our asses off. We pour ourselves into work when we experience depression. We're like, okay, well, I mean, I feel like I don't have much control over my emotions and I don't have control over the way I feel about myself and my body. So I'm just going to pour myself into this project right here. I'm going to pour myself into my music. I'm going to pour myself into this and that and da-da-da-da. And some Tauruses may pour themselves into relationships. They may be constantly in relationships, and they have a tendency to be in toxic relationships because they have a hard time letting go of people that they're in love with. They have a hard time letting go of relationships that are dried out because Tauruses also have a fear of change. Change makes a Taurus depressed sometimes. That can lead a Taurus into depression. It's sudden change that just shocks them. That can lead them into a depression. I have a fear of sudden change sometimes. I like change because I have a Venus in Gemini and a Libra moon. I like change. But that doesn't mean I'm not afraid of it. I'm afraid of sudden change. Death of a loved one. I carry this fear on my shoulder all the time, and it makes me feel depressed. Tauruses also carry other people's depression because Tauruses are very, very empathic. So we carry other people's pain. We carry the pain of our parents, the pain of our siblings. That also makes us depressed because we do want to listen to people when they vent about their problems. We want to sit and we want to listen, and we often do. And then a lot of times people do not notice. They take us for granted. They call us on the phone because they know that we're going to be there for them. And then they tell us that we never cared about them and that we were never there for them. And that breaks our freaking hearts. I've experienced this before. Because people just never notice our efforts. It's like, how come you can't see that I'm here for you? How come you can't see that I always pick up the phone when you call? How come you can't see that I always offer you food? How come you can't see the nice little things that I do for you? Why do you forget these things? It's like people forget the nice things that Tauruses do for them. But then they like to remember the ugly things about us sometimes. But Taurus, for the most part, you have a really good heart. Man, don't be listening to people. Don't be listening to people. People don't know you. Tauruses are so misunderstood. Like, because we're so deep and people don't think we are. People think that we're shallow or we're fake or we're immature or we're naive or whatever. And it's like, we're one of the most mature, intelligent signs in the freaking zodiac. Yet and still we get treated like we're dumb. It's just, that's part of our depression. Is getting treated like in a way that we know we're not. We don't get treated like the royalty that we feel we are. We let people abuse us and make fun of us and bully us. We often go through a lot of bullying. I went through a lot of bullying in my youth. But I don't have a lot of time on this phone, so I'm going to go ahead and end it. If y'all want to, listen to more videos about Taurus and depression, if you want a part 2, for example, I have no problem making a part 2. Hope you all enjoyed this. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Oh, I'm doing private birth chart readings, by the way. All of that will be in the description box below. You know, my email, which is s.island55@yahoo.com. Bye-bye. I hope you enjoyed this video. Taurus, you are beautiful. Taurus, you. Oh yeah, check out my music, by the way.